Hi crafty friends, Lorena here with the Angels Card Co. I'm bringing you this design that I made for the Ink Road Stamps design team. Let's get started. We're going to be using Ears Volume 2 by Ink Road Stamps and Basics Tiny Dot Clusters. Start off by peeling the image from Ears Volume 2. We're going to do some reverse stamping. You're going to place your stamp on your block detailed side down so that the smooth side, which normally sticks to the block, is facing up. Pat it with your hand a few times to season it and condition it a little bit for a smoother stamp. Now choose your ink color that you will be using. I'm using this one by Catherine Pooler Inks. This is Daydream. I'm going to ink up the stamp. Again, this is going to be with the smooth side facing down onto the ink. Just make sure you get it all covered. I like to stamp off on a blank sheet of paper just to make sure that I'm going to get a good stamped image. Okay, now we'll ink it up again, and this time we will be stamping directly onto our cardstock. This cardstock is white cardstock cut to 4 1/4 inches by 5 inches. So we're going to ink this up and just stamp down on our card panel here. Now we're going to position this on our card panel and stamp down, apply firm pressure. I'm also going to be flipping this over and running my fingers through the back of the panel just to make sure I get a solid impression. Doesn't matter if it looks splotchy, that is going to dry back, and also it won't show with the heat embossing that we'll be doing on top of this. So flip it over. Next, we're going to take the Basics Tiny Dot Clusters and we're going to stamp some of the dots onto the background. I'm inking this up in some Catherine Pooler ink in the color Hot Tub, bringing in a white sheet of paper to stamp on top of because I just want to make sure that I stamp the entire background and make sure that this gets filled up with these cute tiny little dots. I'm just going to continue inking up this dot cluster and stamping it all over. I want to make sure that I fill most of the background with these little dots. And I like having the white sheet of paper, that way I can stamp off of my card panel. And just continue re-inking and stamping till the entire background is filled. Next, we're going to stamp our sentiment. I chose Even Miracles Take a Little Time. We're going to do some reverse stamping the same way we stamped the ears image. Pick it up with the detail side down on your block and the smooth side facing up. Sometimes it's a little tricky to get it to stick, but just push down on there and it'll grab hold onto the stamping block. Next, we're going to ink this sentiment up with the same color of ink we used for the ears image. We're going to stamp it using Catherine Pooler Ink Daydream. And as you can see, that was the smooth side facing out. So ink this up and stamp down where you want, making sure that it is straight or semi-straight. Stamp down, apply some pressure and release. We're going to clean off our stamp and flip it back over to do some heat embossing with the actual sentiment now. Now before we move on to our heat embossing, you do want to make sure that your panel is completely dry. I sped up the drying process on mine using my heat tool. And now that it's dry, I'm going to apply some anti-static powder, making sure I cover the entire image and sentiment area. This is going to help make sure that I don't get any embossing powder stuck to any place I don't want it. Next, we're going to flip our stamp image over and have that detail side up and make sure it's really stuck on there. And now we're going to season the detail side by running our hand over it. I'm inking this up using some Versamark watermark ink, making sure I cover the entire stamped image, and we're going to line this up into that shadowed color part, making sure it's kind of straight and stamped down. Apply some pressure and remove it. Beautiful. Next, we're going to stamp our sentiment using the same Versamark ink. Sorry for the wobbly camera there. Apply some pressure and release. Perfect. Next, we're going to use some gold embossing powder. This is by Ranger ink. And we're going to sprinkle some on our card panel and tap off the excess. I like to go over it again just to make sure I'm getting that embossing powder all over that fine detailed image. Using a paintbrush, I like to tap off the excess. And now we're ready to heat set this gorgeous image. Another important tip when heat embossing is to let your heat gun heat up before bringing it to your project. Just let it get nice and warm before you start your heat embossing. This is going to really prevent any warping you might have. Now adhere this onto some gold mirrored cardstock. This is going to completely cover an A2 size card base, and you're all done. I hope you guys like this simple design. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.